What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Coach Johnson's YouTube channel. If you are new to the YouTube channel, we talk about anything that is the power raid, the air raid, spread offenses, the coaching profession, any of those topics that interest you. Hit the subscribe button. Always trying to put out videos. The main reason for this channel is to try and help anybody with day one football explanation. Talk about organizing, your game planning, talking about being a head coach, and then talking about the X's and O's and different concepts. And for those that are, constantly and are subscribers to this channel, please continue to share this. Just like to try and get as many different people to be following and subscribing to me. I know it's been a couple weeks since I did a video. It's been dead period here, and just trying to get away a little bit from football and trying to focus on family. But now we're back to a video that I'm very excited about making from listening to a couple of football coaches, and buddies, and this idea kind of came to me, and just a lot of different ways that I want to go with this one. But we're going to go down one particular road, and that is doing one play a bunch of different ways, whether it's using different formations, using motion, or shot plays off of it. Different ways that you can use it. And the one is, and it's one of my favorite plays in football, is Y stick. We're going to talk about the different formations, all the different motions to get to it, using it as an RPO, the different ways that you can use it, front side, back side of stick. So I'm very excited about this one. And this one is a shout out to Coach Tatum, where he was talking about same as is the best friend for an O-line and O-line coach. Well, this is same as when it comes to kind of a quarterback read of stick. So we're going to talk about what the OG of stick is, and then talk about all the different variations and how to get to it. And once again, it's one way, one play, many different ways. It's simple for your guys, but it looks complex to the defense, and just a bunch of different window dressings and all that. So the premise of Y stick, for anybody that is new to the game of football or just need a reminder, the outside receiver is going to do a mandatory outside release because he's got to take the corner's eyes off of the stick and off of the arrow to try and make sure that there's plenty of space for the quarterback to read. But that is going to be your pre-snap read of number one. If it's press, or if this safety's playing middle of the field and there's a hole shot right here between 10 and 15 yards, you can take that. But this guy's got to be very selfless in this concept and understand that this is not always going to have his number dialed up. All right, but there will be a time and place for him. Then we're running our stick route, which is a bunch of different guys, different ways, whether it's 4, 5, 6 yards. We believe in 5 yards, sell vertical, put that foot in the ground, show hands to the quarterback, and then don't do a whiteboard route. You're not trying to run straight into a defender, but one thing that we do try to do is almost treat it like kind of like a pick. If there's a backer in this area, you're going to run, at that outside hip, that he's got to run through you to get to the arrow. And what we teach then is, if they stay in, we throw out for the quarterback, because then you have your arrow route by the running back. Some people use swing. The one thing I have noticed, especially in high school defenses, is nobody's going to chase the swing, and they're going to let you just continue to swing that, and then they're going to collapse down on it. Well, for us, we just didn't get a lot of success off that. 0, 1, 2, 3 yards. It ended up being, you could always continue to check that, but it wasn't helping us get to the stick and getting it to the receiver's hands. So we still went to the arrow, and it has been monumental against our defense, against 7-on-7. And now that backer's flying out because he sees that guy crossing. And so then that opens up for that stick, a nice little quick hitter. So that is going to be your one, and then it's kind of a 2A, 2B down to the stick to arrow. If they go out, you throw in, which would be the stick. If they stay in, you throw out. All right, so now that is kind of your 2x2 part of stick. And then what you can do on the backside, which is what adds to this whole one play, one concept, many different ways. All right, a lot of the air raid guys are going to have, this slant until you can't. All right, especially because if the backers are flying out. All right, and then you'll have a fin route on this backside. All right, some people do the double slant. All right, so then they'll have the one step, quick step slant, and then you have your normal slant trying to hit that window. So once again, bunch of different ways. All right, and now one concept that has been really good to us. All right, two kind of things is we will go with a fade out. All right, so boom. All right, and now you have your fade and you have an out route, and that's really good, especially like if this is going to the boundary, because a lot of times they're going to be a major field team, and you might have that quick out really, really fast. Now all of a sudden you're giving to an H guy that can make guys miss, or they can run over a DB, and it makes a very tough break or tackle, and it's going to take multiple guys to get them down. And then another way, once again, it's one play, many different ways, and we're talking about using formation, dispersion, and all that, is now you bring them in, all right? And the other thing that you got, all right, is that you have what we call outlaw, all right? Some people call it a D3 play, all right? It's a joke, inside joke with a couple of coaches, all right? But then you have your stick on that side and then also a speed out. So a lot of people, when you cut down your splits, all right, they're going to play off coverage. Now you might be able to get that, and let me just, this isn't how we run ours. We run ours to 5, all right, and then speed cut it to 6, 7 yards, and then you have your stick route on that side. So many different answers backside to the one way of running Y stick. And then you can even get into even more of it, and then I'll be done with it, and we'll talk into our 3x1, all right, is then all of a sudden, if you want, you kind of stack it, all right, and then you have all the different versions of smash, all right. You can have your speed out to a corner, all right, or you can invert them, all right, so your different bench concept, all right, so a bunch of different ways to get on the backside, especially if teams are playing split field coverage, all right, and depending on how they're going to line up opposite of the running back, or if they're going to go towards a pass strength, boundary field team, bunch of different answers backside. The possibilities are literally endless, all right. So now getting to that, as you set up as a 2x2 team, okay, now all of a sudden, let's say that we bring our motion, okay, so now you have our motion, and he's going to run his arrow route, all right, and now this Y is kind of folding up right there, so now you get to stick to a 3x1 with motion out of 2x2 to 3x1, and now backside is whatever you want. We have been doing a slant with an arrow, which is really good because it puts, once again, it puts that corner, especially on that backside now of motion. All right, if that backer is responsible for him and they try to pass it off and that corner's going with that slant, there's nobody there. All right, the other thing that we also have been doing is then turning this into a wheel, all right, and then having it stop as a snag, and he's kind of creating that rub to try and get that push with the motion. And we've hit that 3 or 4 times for big plays because we'll teach the quarterback, hey, take a look. Are they flooding the defense 4 or 5 over to that side? And now we have a one-on-one shot backside. And our running back is a dude. We also like our X or our Z. They're big body guys that can get there and sit in that snag window if our quarterback likes it, and we'll read that backside, especially if they have a middle to high safety that is either responsible for that wheel and they're trying to pass it off, or we have a backer that we feel like we can take advantage of. You can do a bunch of different things backside. Once again, one play, many different ways, and now we're motioning it up to get to a 3x1. Okay, now let's say you want to do it without the motion. Okay, so let's clean this up. And let's just move them over here. You can keep the backside whatever you want. Okay, and let's just say that you have a rule of H is inside, and this is what we do. Okay, and now he's running an arrow, crossing the face. All right, and then let's say that you then have it the reverse way. All right, and now H is inside, okay, with Y. Now, the other way you can get to this is now you're running your speed out, okay? Sorry, that's a kind of ugly one, but now you got your speed out. So now you have Y stick from 3x1, whether Y is the middle receiver, okay, or whether he is the inside receiver. Now, kind of messing with even more of your 3x1, okay, is now let's talk about if you were doing bunch, okay? So now let's say that you have Z, all right, is your setter, okay? And you have your H can do a couple different things. So we're going to draw up the different ways that you can get to it, okay? Whether it's an arrow, whether it's arrow into the speed out. All right, and now Z almost is kind of like a snag a little bit, okay? But now we're going to read how they handle the bunch, okay? And now he's gonna run his stick route, get to 5, and now kind of hook up, okay? So now you can do that a bunch, all right? So messing with that 3x1, but now you're doing bunch, you got a different rub, and so that's another way, okay? And then you can do it the other way that we like to get into our stacks, okay? H on the ball, Z's off the ball, and now you have your Y behind. Now you're having that H gonna create, and that Y can sneak in behind them, and you're gonna create that rub. And now if they're playing inside, okay, so now let's go back to this route. If they're gonna continue to carry him in, okay, now our Y almost kind of outside stems and sits there, okay? But now, let's say that they're pushing him out, now he can run right there and hook up behind that linebacker for the 5 yards, okay? So once again, a bunch of different ways to get to the stick. Now you got your 3x1, you got bunches, you have your 2x2 with the motion, all right? And now getting into even more, all right, let's say that you're gonna go out of empty. You're gonna try and see what they're gonna give you out of an empty check, okay? And now this is where you can have a lot of different options, because once again, it depends on how you line it up. So talking about whether H or Y is in there, and you have your, we're gonna keep with the Y stick, get to 5, all right, and now you can have him, especially out of this, is he can bubble, okay, where he runs that arrow route, all right, then backside. Now you'll get into what a lot of people are doing, all right, and we like to do this, especially if this is a 5th receiver. If you have a guy that wins a lot of 1 matchups, now he has an option route. Okay, and so what we always tell him is that he is going to stick, okay, if there's nobody on top of him. If there's an open area, he's gonna get to that 5 and he's gonna run slant, or he can get out, so it's an option route, okay? You have your lookie, your juke, whatever you wanna call it, and now we're gonna take our one-on-one shot with that if they press us with our outside receiver that we feel like is a good 50-50 fade ball guy, okay? So there you go, now at an empty. Okay, and now let's talk about getting into a little bit of the 4x1 type stuff. So now whether you go quads, okay, or you put the running back, and now we're gonna talk about flooding the system. All right, so one of the things that teams like to do, okay, is now you're gonna kind of make a hybrid between spacing, all right, and your stick concept. So H is going to run that OTB at about 5 or 6. You got your 5 or 6, and then your running back is either going to run a swing, or he's got his arrow, and now you have a 4-man flood on that side, and now you have your single receiver running his slant, okay, or fade, depending on the matchup that you get. So once again, it's Y stick for everybody, all right? And if you've noticed, nothing has changed. Now this is getting into kind of a good answer of creating a flood. The only thing that right here changed is now your H. Okay, instead of him running a speed out or an arrow, now you're just tagging him to run an OTB, which in your system, that's probably not the only concept right now that you run that OTB for him to find that grass and to hold on to that Mike linebacker so that they can't flow out to the stick, because the stick is the main one. Once again, your main thing that you're trying to get to. All right. Now, let's talk about the flood and kind of shot plays off of that. So one of my favorite ones, and it all depends on the matchups that you have. All right, so because we're going to stick to the whole staying as the Y stick, okay? And so this is a big air raid one, Mike Leach. When they saw that defenses and the defense coordinators were getting greedy and trying to come down, all right, they're going to hit with your stick post wheel. Okay, because what has that H been doing? Running that arrow or that speed out, and now he's cutting up right there. And guess what? Same as, okay, for your quarterback. You have now your 1A, your 1B, because that's now your shot flow. Okay, what are they going to try and take away? Okay, or is there the post window over top trying to hit it? Or did they stay to the middle of the field? Nobody got out there. You won your matchup on your arrow or on your wheel. Okay, and at the end of the day, you're looking at the post through the stick. But if they bail out and that stick's there, you can take it immediately. And now you have your running back, okay, running either the swing or he's got his arrow, okay? And then backside you have, so that's one way of flooding it, all right? Now going back into different ways. So we're gonna keep the running back route just like this, okay? But now one of the other things that like to do is now is kind of another hybrid of you're going to have your Z, all right, is going to run his fade. Okay, keep on his fade. All right, you still have your Y as the stick, but now you're setting them up because you've had the OTB route, you just ran the stick post wheel, all right, and now you have your stick and up, all right, and if they're coming to bite down, so if a safety flies over here, you occupy this safety here, that could be wide open in the middle of the field. We did that a couple of times a couple of years ago with our big H back, and you're still running Y stick, nothing has changed, but now all you're doing is tagging something to the H. So you can see is your H is kind of, we call him the power race, kind of our adjuster. He's kind of the guy that gets that extra tag, whether he ends up running the stick or he's got the stick and up or he's got the wheel. He's kind of our adjuster to what the defense is going to handle. So there's your shot plays off of stick. And so we've talked about that. And now let's talk about kind of going into the run game. All right. So let's say that, let's get rid of all of this and let's clean it up a little bit. So let's say you're a big inside zone team. All right. And you want to stay in your 2x2. Here's what's beautiful is you can kind of call a double stick. All right. And you'll kind of carry out. Everybody's running stick. All right, they're running their main stick concept, both now H and Y, and now you're going to kind of try to widen out to see how they'll handle it. All right, because if they bring safeties out, okay, and either apex, if it's a 4-3 or bring a safety down, or different looks, you might be able to get your 5 or 6 guys in the box. And now with all of your inside zone, okay, so everybody is doing their steps. Get up to the backer, and let's just say that we have our end here that we're reading, okay? And now you can run, the quarterback can scramble out, and you've seen people do the stick switch, or outlaw switch, whatever you want to call it. And now all of a sudden, if he's taking that away, he's pulling, and a backer comes up. All right, so let's just draw another backer. Let's say that this backer is taking the quarterback as he pulls it. All right, so we have our inside zone, okay, and now that this guy is taking that, so our quarterback is now getting out of there, all right, and now he can throw the stick route off of that. Or if there's nobody over here, he throws it to the H immediately, and so now you're throwing stick off of your run game, okay? Then off of all of that, all right, is you can then do your zone lock. All right, so now this guy isn't a threat of trying to run, and now we're just going to lock him with our tackle. All right, and you can still do it 2x2, okay, or 3x1, and now your quarterback has everything locked. We're just trying to get get those defenders, all right, get to the next level. All right, and if they have a backer, is one of these backers, are they triggering on the run that we can pop up and throw, and your quarterback's protected from Sea of Shining Sea, as we get it from Brent Dearman, the OG, the GOAT of a lot of the RPOs. And now all of a sudden you're running stick off of all of your inside zone. And then to kind of add to another thing is that you can run your one back power. Sorry about that. All right, and now you have your guard, okay, folding or pulling, whatever you want to call that he's doing. So let's draw that up. So he's there, okay. Say that we're going to get a fold underneath there, okay. And now you're playing the game off of whether they have that backer expanded, okay. And he's coming, and now you run your stick right there. So now you have what we call gut. And then to add to a whole nother dimension, okay, is then you have where you can call dart, okay. And now he's the guy, okay, wrapping up. All right, and so now you're playing off of a fold. All right, what's that backer doing? Because everything else can be protected, whether you're locking him. Okay, so you're gonna lock that guy right there, and now you're playing your games off of that backer. Okay, and you're having the stick maybe come in a little bit more. Okay, or you could bring them in here more to add to a whole nother dimension of putting a little conflict defender, okay? So that's all you're off your stick, off of all your RPOs, okay? Off of motion, out of empty, out of quads, your 4x1 flooding it, some shot plays, all right? So that's all the stuff that I want to talk about with stick. And the whole premise of this is use a bunch of different formations to get to that, which I'm going to kind of get into a little bit of formation variation here to end out this video. But I want you to think about keeping it simple for your guys. Right here, we made one little tag to each, either one receiver, okay, or if we're into the running game as an RPO, whether it was inside zone, you can do it off of GT, you can do it off of power. We're going to talk about here when we get to some formation variations, but making it complex to defense because of the different tags you can give the H on how to run on the concept side, whether you're flooding it, whether you're bringing in motion, bunch of different ways to kind of get to one concept. That's the whole thing. Nothing changed with the Z until the shot play. Your X is all backside stuff, and you have a bunch of different things to do backside. And that's the beautiful part about this, is it looks super complex, or when it's getting tagged up into huddle, or a coach is getting on his notebook and they're writing things down. This all looks like a bunch of different things, but for your offense, it was one play, one concept, and now you're just playing fast, and it's simple to you, but on paper or on the screen, it looks super complex, but it's not. All right, so now kind of trying to end this is we're going to talk about a bunch of different ways to get into formations. So I'm going to clean up all this instead of just getting out of it. Just get to our original box and all that good stuff. So one of my favorite formations, all right, and I also have film on stick that I'm going to put right here on the bottom of the screen, and then the information about this video to where you can go straight to the stick video. All right, but now I'm also going to get into my favorite formation, a bunch of different ways you can get to it. All right, and if you've been following me for a long time, you know it's trips nub. So now here we are, trips nub, and my goodness, the amount of things you can do with Y stick. So first of all, you can run power to the H. Okay, you can run buck sweep to the H, and all these guys for your RPO stuff. All right, because we talked about is Y stick. Boom. Okay, and you know when we're at Northwood, our first touchdown on our second drive. All right, we hit it off of. We ran power stick. Okay, and we hit this guy because the safety came flying down. The safety came flying down the stick, couldn't get over, and we hit an 85-yard touchdown on the MOR. Okay, and then you can also have the bubble to strain them outside so that the Y, if you need to, he can play a little bit out there. So you can run, like I said, out of this. All right, so trips nub, okay, you can run power to it, buck sweep, you can run GT, and you have a 3-man surface. Backside your RPO is Y stick. How beautiful is that? Now, if you want to get even more into it, like we showed it, now you add a bunch to that, all right? And now you're talking about, you have now you're getting a nub, okay? You're getting all of that, all right, off of that one look. Now let's add a little bit more to it, all right? And let's say that he's got the speed out, okay? And now we're sending the running back on a push motion, and now we're running our quarterback buck, okay? So down, pull the kick, down, he's locking up, and he's wrapping, okay? So now you have quarterback buck off of Y stick with a 4-man concept flooding that area, all right, depending on what they do. And if he wants to, he can throw it to the running back, and you have that. But then if your box coach is saying, hey, they're flowing down on that running back, all right, the stick is wide open. Now all of a sudden it's here, and now you're throwing it to the stick, all right, off of your quarterback buck, your pin and pull, quarterback power. So right off of that formation, you're adding all those dimensions, and now we're adding that running back motion, all right? So boom, there's that, okay? Now getting into the last thing I'm going to talk about, because it's something that I'm trying to study a lot of, all right, is we're going to talk about if you are going unbalanced, okay? This is where it gets a lot of fun. So let's say that you need a little bit more help on pass pro. So now you put a 6th guy, okay, for pass protection. and now you can flood that and say that's your original one. Or you get into your shot play, okay? So now you have your stick, okay, post wheel, and now you have a 6-man pass protection, and it's unbalanced. So now the defense is having to think. And now you got your stick post wheel and sending the running back in motion, or he goes out there later, all right, and you have stick post wheel with 6-man protection, unbalanced. Defense is having to think. There's 4 guys on that side. We're sending out a running back. Do they get lined up? Do you get a timeout? Do you get a matchup you like? So there's how you can get to your stick post wheel. You can run normal stick if you wanted. One of the other ways that we like to, and I didn't even talk about this, and it's actually one of my favorite ways to run it, okay, is going to be what we call as the slot fade. All right, and so now he's running that, and now you have your running back out there, okay? So then you have your shock off of it. So you're getting 6-man protection, another shot play if they unbalance and their answer is to come man, all right? And now that safety would have to get all the way over there, or if they brought their safety down to try and answer your numbers, now that X, or if you went unbalanced left and it was your Z, for us, the Z for us is like a 6'4", just having a huge spring, huge summer. Very excited about him. We're gonna be a sophomore, started for us last year, but now all of a sudden you get them a slot fade of possibly, a safety that can't cover as well. Just trying to find the matchups, but now you're going unbalanced. So we talked about 2x2, 3x1, empty, quads, unbalanced, trips nub set. The possibilities are endless. Do using the or using motions, whether it's from the running back, creating into the stick, all the variations of stick. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, check it out below. I'm going to put in all the different stuff that I like to do out of trips nub. There's another video that's going to be about empty, unbalanced, and then also the big one for all of those, because I'm big on don't just draw it up, explain it. I have a whole stick video of a bunch of different clips. All of that's going to be down in the description. Please check it out. If you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter. All that information's on the front page on my introduction. But thank you for all the people that have subscribed to this video. Continue to share with your coaching buddies. It's always great to start up conversations with other people. And like I said, I don't know it all. Like I just hit up Alex Besaw at the Spread Offense about some of the stuff that he does, that he's posted video on, that I just wanted a little bit more. Guys, we need to continue to grow in our profession. Whenever you feel like you know it all, you're going to get worse. Continue to grow, continue to find ways that allow you to put your players in success, especially on the field. And we're all here in the summer. This is your chance to take a chance on different things that you've seen and coach it up. If you need the little details, hit me up and I got you. But thank you again for taking about 30 minutes out of your day to watch this video. Please subscribe it and have a great night.